There's just some writers that just feel like they were born to write the character. Joshua Williamson is definitely a person who feels like he was born to write Superman, because his run is fantastic. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Doran. This is SEO Comics. We continue our coverage of DCKO with Superman number 31. Our story starts off on the Watchtower where Superman is like, and we should trust you? Let's talk to the Time Trapper. And Time Trapper's like, look, I led you to Booster Gold. I saved you from Darkseid's legions. Like, isn't that enough? And Superman's like, but you're not telling us something, Time Trapper. So then he's like, I showed you a future where Darkseid wins, and you've already lost. And I also showed you if you have any hope of defeating Darkseid, that you must venture to retrieve the Heart of Apokolips and be crowned King Omega. So Superman's like, look, I want to believe you. I want to believe Booster. But you're talking about jeopardizing every life on this planet. So I need more. So then Time Trapper's like, look, we have a history, Kal-El. We're connected. Our origins, our deaths, trust is irrelevant. Darkseid is coming. And the only way to save the world is to show no mercy. As we see our heroes going into the KO tournament. But now we go before the fight, where Superman is headed to the Forces of Solitude. He's there talking to his robots, and he's like, man, like, you guys done a really good job remodeling the place ever since Absolute Power, which we covered on the channel. Don't worry, link to the playlist will be in the description. I've been so busy I haven't been able to come and check your progress and do some of the heavy lifting. But then he grabs a memory crystal, which I guess he hasn't used in a long time, because he's like, I hope it still works. As he inserts it, he sees his father. So the projection Jor-El shows up and he's like, my son. And Superman's like, father, I need you to ask some questions about Krypton. And he's like, do the records show anything about Darkseid? And Jor-El's like, there's no knowledge of Darkseid in the records. So then he asks about King Omega. Says the same thing. There are no knowledge of King Omega in the records. So then Superman asks, was all Krypton's history put into the rocket? And Jor-El says the majority of it. There was some illegal stuff that we couldn't put in there. So then Superman asks, why just me, father? Why just save me? And then Jor-El answers, because your mother and I love you very much and wished you safe. So then Superman asks, what about a larger shuttle? And then Jor-El's like, space travel was illegal in Krypton. So technically we were making your space shuttle in secret, so it couldn't be too big. But then Superman asks, but if you couldn't make it bigger, would you have saved everyone? And his father's like, I have no knowledge of that. And Superman asks again, if you had the ability to make it bigger, would you have saved everyone? And then Jor-El goes, I would have saved everyone. And Superman goes, everyone. Thanks, father, as he flies off. So then we cut to Les Corp, formerly Supercorp, where Mercy is doing a scan on Rudy after he tussled with Doomsday a while back. So she asks him how he's feeling, and he goes, that punk got lucky. Next time, I'll take a bigger bite. But then he goes on to say, but that monster's power was tasty. I haven't felt this full ever. And then Mercy goes, and that's what worries me. After Doomsday, can you ever match that kind of power source again? But then all of a sudden all you hear is, excuse me, Rudy. Mercy and I have to have a talk. As we see Superman walks in, and Rudy's like, Superman, good to see you, buddy. I'll offer you a high five, but you know. So Superman goes to her and is like, what do you know? So she's like, you might have cut off LesCorp from all JSU communications, but we have our ways. We know that the Justice League has been actively working with the Titans, preparing some sort of mass evacuation. So we got to work ourselves, as she shows a big old huge massive spaceship that is fit to evacuate people. And Superman's like, good. I figured you guys were working on something. Now, I need you to work fast and make 12. She goes, 12? Superman, what's going on? So then we cut to 3822 West Main Street in Metropolis, and all you hear somebody goes, you're doing what? And it's Lois Lane. And he's like, look, it's the only way, honey. And then Supergirl tries to chime in, and it's like, I know it sounds crazy, Lois, but I was there. Like, this tournament's the only way to do it, and I know it's nuts. So Lois like, so you mean old man Doomsday, the guy who killed you, Clark, This is what he wanted all along. Like, why would you go with this plan? And then Superman explains how John Henry Irons and Steelwork are working together with Mercy, LexCorp, to put together shuttles to evacuate everybody. John, their son, is also working with the Titans to do the same thing. So then Lois is like, so you plan on losing? So Superman's like, we could. And if so, I just want to make sure everybody is safe. So also somebody's like, did we come in a bad time? And his mom, Pa Kent. So they're like, you never showed up in Smallville. So Ma and I decided to go ahead and do it the old fashioned way. We packed up the truck, made our way here. So after everybody hugs each other, Superman's like, really glad you guys are here. Sit down. Let me explain what's going on. So Superman got to spend some family time. And then we cut to the evacuation as we see all of these ships leaving Earth. And Lois is like, I still don't trust Mercy. And there's something about Time Trapper that's something bothering me. So Superman's like, look, I even tried to go to the Force of Solitude and talk to Jor-El, and they couldn't find anything on Darkseid or King Omega or anything. And Lois like, so you went to the Force of Solitude? He's like, yeah, to talk to your father. He goes, yeah. And Lois just gives him a hug. It's like, you know what? Go ahead and do your thing. Let me go ahead and handle mine. So they kiss. Superman flies off. Somebody walks up to her and goes, it's time, Lois. Take off in less than 60. She goes, okay. And she's like, I know you can still hear this. Please come back to me. So as we see Mercy piloting one of the ships, she goes, man, the Titans did a really great job with this. And then she's looking, she's like, all ships are accounted for except for one. Lois, what are you up to? And Lois is like, I'm just taking a small detour. And then Mercy is like, Lois, we're scheduled to meet up with the Titans. We all have to be accounted for us to all leave at the same time. And Lois is like, I know. I'll be there as soon as I can. As we see her head to the Forces of Solitude. And she's talking to Jor-El, and she goes, hi, how can I help you, wife of Kal-El? And she's like, he came to ask you some questions, and I wanted to ask just a few more. So really, you can look at this as an interview. Tell me about Darkseid and the Heart of Apokolips. And he goes, there's no knowledge of Darkseid or the Heart, and Lois just cuts him off. And she's like, yeah, I'm a reporter. I know. But for you to know about the legal records, you have to have information on them. I want that information. Then he goes, there is no knowledge, and then she cuts him off again. She's like, I know, I understand, but this is to help your son. Don't you want to help your son? As we see Superman, who's already fighting in a tournament, and Jor-El just keeps saying the same thing, and Lois just keeps asking a question, and asking the question, and asking the question. Until finally, somebody goes, you love my son. And we see that as Laura, and she's like, when we sent Kal-El away, we was hoping that he will find some place happy and safe. We hoped that he will find you. So then she explains how the archives don't have anything on Darkseid or anything on King Omega. But she starts to explain her experience that she had, which was in Justice League Omega Act number 1. Link to the playlist will be in the description. She says how all the worlds that Krypton encountered had a legend about a destroyer, the end of all things, a dark Omega presence that wanted to control all, the final god. So then she also explains how the scientists want to create a champion to stop him, because for there to be an Omega, there has to be an Alpha. So then she's like, I believe Doomsday was created to be that power, to be that Alpha to the Omega King. So Lois like, so Doomsday is the Alpha. Clark needs to know this. He needs to know this now. I need to be able to talk to him. All of a sudden, there is a crash and a boom. And then Lois runs over and she's like, Clark. And Superboy Prime goes, wrong Clark. So she picks him up and she's like, Prime, Superman said you were stuck in the future. And he goes, I was. I managed to hold off Darkseid and his army. He's like, I know what happened to the rest of the Legion. All the Legion. I gotta go tell Superman. So she's like, I need to talk to him too. But he's gone off and there's no way to, and there is a huge boom and they both go flying. And one of Darkseid's Legion shows up, and this dude is named Sunboy. And he looks powerful as hell. He has to be powerful if he is beating the bejesus out of Superboy Prime. So Sunboy's like, we know the Justice League is trying to capture the Heart of Apokolips. Darkseid is coming. We've already won. They left you to die. And Superboy Prime goes, I'll stop you, some boy. And he's like, how? How are you going to do that alone? And Superboy Prime's like, there's something that you forgot about. Some boy's like, what is that? And he goes, the last page reveal. And Lois is now floating in the air, and she's like, what the hell? And Superboy Prime goes, you blasted her with all that sun power, you dork. So Superwoman is back.